genuine hometown newspaper today, the Southeast Missourian, Cape Girardeau. And there is it's either a letter to the editor or it is a column by a local resident, William Piercy, Sr. Mr. Obama, I'm calling you out. Now, this is Heartland America, folks. This is about H1N1, and the hysteria has disappeared. Have you noticed the hysteria has disappeared from the drive-bys? We had a national emergency. We had, what's her name, Sebelius, and who else was out there every day? You got to go do this. You got to do that. And now there's no news about it at all. And that's because the government has totally botched it. They have no vaccine. There's a shortage. And so the Obama government has stopped all the faxes and emails to the media to keep the hysteria going. They've dialed it back now because they don't want people to think there's a hysteria anymore or that there's even an emergency because there's no vaccine. The new era of government control over our lives and freedoms has begun. This week it got personal and I felt helpless. The doctor overseeing my health care advised me to get an H1N1 flu shot. I've been under a 6-year treatment program for a chronic infection, plus I have heart and lung problems. Therefore, I'm considered a high risk. Fortunately, my doctor had 3 shots available, but get this now, get this. The doctor had 3 shots. His doctor's got 3 shots of the vaccine. But I would have to get approval from the county health department. Much to my surprise, the woman at the health department apologized and told me that even though I was a senior citizen and high risk, the health department had been instructed to approve shots only for children and pregnant mothers. Folks, in this vaccine, we've already got rationing of health care. And the doctor has to tell the patient to get approval from a county health board. Already, without the passage of this monstrosity, we can already see the failure of government health care in this vaccine program. Can you imagine going into your doctor? He's got 3 vaccines and you got to call a county health department? You got to call a bureaucrat for approval? So Mr. Piercy did that, and the health department had been instructed to approve shots only for children and pregnant mothers. I asked when a shot for my situation might be available. We really don't know. Check back with us sometime in December. What? Terrorist detainees at Gitmo are getting shots this month. Why not a high-risk senior citizen? Mr. Obama, this is what we call healthcare rationing, which you claim won't happen under a government-run healthcare program. If George W. Bush was considered the Barney Fife of executive power, then welcome to the Chicago-style politics of the new Vito Corleone family. The president himself, like a strong-armed enforcer, said in a nationally televised speech, if you misrepresent anything in this plan, I will call you out. This administration has turned the once dignified and esteemed Oval Orifice into a war room for its liberal propaganda. On his first day in office, the president signed the ethics commitments by executive branch personnel executive order. During the campaign, he vowed to keep lobbyists out of the administration. But in Section 3 of this order is a waiver clause. The director of the Office of Management and Budget may grant a written waiver of any restriction. Former lobbyists were given waivers and now hold key positions in government. Mr. Obama, you lied. At the same time lobbyists were coming in the front door, dozens of new unvetted, hand-picked ideologues are being shuttled in the back door. Many of these people were placed in key policy-making decisions. Citizen Collins of Maine was worried about 18 of these unvetted czars, 10 of whom worked in the White House. An amendment to force these appointees to testify was shot down by Democrat leadership. Collins was especially concerned about Carol Browner, who negotiated fuel economy standards with the car companies. She even sent a letter to Obama, and one of his counsels replied that no one would be made available. The administration fears no one, especially a senator who dares to enforce something as minor as checks and balances. Obama promised transparency. He lied. On the topic of transparency, the $787 billion stimulus bill was a progressive Trojan horse. It's loaded with political favors and programs that set up the infrastructure for education, healthcare, and climate change. It was passed and signed in a matter of weeks. This was not a bill to put Americans back to work. Obama said it would produce 3.5 million jobs in 2 years. Over the past year, the administration has changed its story daily, finally settled on the create or save propaganda. Obama said the bill would keep unemployment under 8%. The rate has climbed to over 10%. Either his economic advisors are incompetent and need to be fired, or once again, Mr. Obama, you lied. Mr. President, you said you didn't want to run our car companies and banks, but you do. With the $350 billion in TARP money left by President Bush, Obama's people continued the surge of bailouts. Americans might be shocked to know the recipients of the bailout money now total 727 institutions. This government control in the private sector is unprecedented. Government-run health care, card check, cap and trade, net neutrality, control of radio stations, and possible newspaper bailouts are just part of this administration's agenda. It's time for the American people to get in this government's face and call it out. This coup d'etat can be defeated. We have the numbers, the votes, the willpower to turn back this assault on our individual freedoms. With 15 million unemployed Americans, I'm sure we can find a few willing patriots to fill all those upcoming vacant seats in Washington, especially with an annual salary of $170,000, office staff, insurance, expense account, and best of all, a 3-day work week. The only requirement for this job are honesty, integrity, and love of country. Mr. Obama, I'm calling you out. There's a lot of anger, and there's a lot of fear in the hinterlands, the heartland of this country, about this duping that we've had on this swine flu vaccine. The White House stopped feeding the drive-bys their hysteria email of the day, and so they stopped covering the story. You know, every TV and radio newscast for months, it led, and now they've been found out to be the incompetent jerks we knew they were, so the spin is silent, and the drive-bys are too stupid to figure out that they have a real good story here. Government screwing up royally in vaccinating people against a declared emergency, a government-declared emergency. Health Department to get approval for a vaccine?
All across America, progressive teachers are helping children to sing alike and think alike. Now, you can get the album that's